Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today I want to talk to you about 5 design ideas for PVC decking. So we're right in the middle of a deck build. We are using TimberTech AZEK PVC decking. It's windy and it's raining and it is what it is, okay? So the first thing I want to talk to you about are split levels. So maybe you have a large space that you're trying to change, or maybe you just have one area that you're trying to break the boards in a deck, but you're not sure how to do it. One way to do that is splitting levels. I don't recommend splitting levels too much. Like if you have like a 10 by 20 deck and you split the levels, you're gonna end up with 2 10 by 10s, which you gotta consider about your space. But on a large project like this, you can split the deck into multiple levels and have some really nice entertainment spaces and kind of get you down to other sections of the deck. On this particular house, the house is multi-level inside the house, so we had to bring the level down to get us down to these doors further down on the deck. So we didn't really have a choice but to create multiple levels. Another thing you can do is you can break your deck boards. So as you see down here, we have a deck that's over 20 feet wide, and we had to have a way to create a space that we could split the board lengths, because decking only comes 20 feet long. So what we did was we took a spot in the middle of the deck that we thought was kind of a nice area, and that's where we're gonna put a breaker board. So that has not been installed yet. The far one has a breaker board on the very end, a border board, but for the middle of the deck, we have a breaker board, and that will be installed in the not too distant future, and then it fills the space and it also looks really nice. So what if your deck is 21 or 22 feet wide? Sometimes you can't avoid it and the decking is only 20 feet long. What do you do in that aspect? Well, what I've done in the past is I've ran a double border around the deck, and then I was able to make the center board 20 feet long. So it's like a 20-foot infill, and then you make as many border out. You could do a double or triple. You could do quadruple borders if you absolutely have to. At that point, we might consider breaking the center of the deck and still doing double borders, or maybe double borders on the outside and a triple inlay in the middle or something like that. Get creative, and you can actually make some really nice design aspects in the deck, right in the floor, and still make those 20-footers work. Another thing you can do that adds some pizzazz to the deck that's also a great design idea is you can mix your colors. You might do the field color of the decking in one color and then do all your borders and accents in another color, like your fascia and your skirting, to give it another pop of color. So sometimes there's complementary boards that go together as far as colors, like on this AZEK product, we're using Coastline and Dark Hickory. There's all kinds of options for color. You just gotta see what's out there. TimberTech has a great palette of colors as well. So you can even mix different types of decking, like if you wanna use a TimberTech composite for the field and an AZEK PVC border for the borders, it's okay to do that. There's no rules that say you can't. Another thing that's been really hot lately is putting some kind of a design or inlay in the middle of the deck. You might decide to run your decking on a 45-degree angle, and then you may end up putting some kind of a nice pattern right in the middle of the deck. It could be a design, it could be a basket weave, it could be a herringbone pattern, it could be your family crest, it could be your last initial of your last name. You know, the possibilities are endless. You just need to figure out what it is in the design aspect before you do it. Obviously, those things can get really complicated. You need a lot of flat blocking. You need to make sure you protect it accordingly. So just make sure that if you're gonna do something like that, that you do the research and make sure that you're not making a mistake, and realize that it's gonna take you much longer to create that space when you start doing an interesting pattern in the deck. And then something I'd like to show you is, like, let's say you're doing a pattern and you have a border, and a lot of people miter their corners. I personally don't do that. I am known as the anti-miter on the internet, and I do a lot of butt joints, and there's reasonings for that. And everybody has their opinion on this, and that's fine. You're allowed your opinion. I'm allowed mine. I know what works for me. I know what works for my company. I know what works for my warranty, and I know what's gonna last the longest, in my opinion. So sometimes creating a unique surface border pattern, or what you're doing. So we have this special multi-width pattern on the floor of this deck where there's a 3.5-inch board and then a 7 1/4 inch board. and that repeats itself throughout the deck. So it became more of a challenge to figure out how are we going to put the borders on the deck by doing that. So what we did, and again, we're mid-construction, okay, so we have a multi-width border all the way that chases around the entire deck on every level. So you can see down here we have a multi-width border going in, and up here we have a multi-width border. And then we had to decide how we're going to chase the boards so that it gives it a unique look. So the outside border goes beyond and it ends here, and it encompasses this one here. So that these boards come in and stop to here, and then this one goes further, gives it a really unique look. So we've continued that pattern on the outside of every corner of the deck so that there's some consistency that goes on everywhere that you're traveling around the levels, that everything is always the same. So you can be as simple or as complicated as you want. It just depends on your skill set, your ability, or how much are you willing to pay to have these features installed on your deck, guys. All right, that's all I got for you on design. So if you like this video, don't forget, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Have a nice dry day. Over and out.